My name is Tom Tresser, and I'm a creativity champion and a defender of the commons. And I want to talk to us today about something called the gift economy. But before we do that, I think we need to have a big shout out to Amy and Amina and all the team that has made this possible, because this is a huge gift for you. Yes? So I teach a class on creativity and business, as also a class on social change for the Stuart School of Business. And so first, what I want to do is give us a little bit of a history over the last 20 years of how has business behaved. How has the business community been doing? And oh my goodness, to say that we are awash in troubles, I think, is an understatement. So let us review. About 20 years ago, there was something called the savings and loan scandal, in which something like 747 banks went under. And we, the taxpayers, had to bail them out at about $88 billion. Flash forward a few years, and we had tumbling of companies, Lehman Brothers, AIG, Washington Mutual, etc., and we know the results. We had one group after another of failures, and the bailout continues to rise. Meanwhile, the folks that perpetrated this mess took billions of dollars of bonuses that they paid themselves. Then we had this guy, Bernie Madoff, who was a leader inside the securities industry, and he perpetrated one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in the history of mankind at about $65 billion. And some of his victims were charities and foundations and groups that serve the needy. So you start to get the feeling that things are not quite right. And since we, the taxpayers, bailed a lot of these things out, I say it's not fair. So can you say with me, that's not fair? That's not fair. Right. Well, unfortunately, the total bailout at this point, as near as we can tell, as you see from the Treasury Department, $7.2 trillion, and from the Fed, another $7.2 trillion. That's a 14 with 12 zeros after it. That's a lot of zeros. But unfortunately, it gets worse, because another multi-billion-dollar multinational company almost destroyed the Gulf of Mexico. And aside from the 11 lives that were lost on the oil rig, I don't think we're ever going to know the true cost to nature and to the economy and to people's livelihoods and to the environment of that oil spill. So is that just one big oops, like the market will correct and make up for all this mess, and it's all good and it'll never happen again? Or are our businesses fundamentally misaligned? Are our businesses fundamentally operating wrongly? Are we training our young business leaders, perhaps people in this room, incorrectly? Are we, institutions of higher learning, business and law schools, are we doing right by you and by society? Many thoughtful people say no. This guy, who was a federal treasury leader and he's a venture capitalist, a professor, he says business schools have failed business. And these guys have written a book, and it's called Rethinking the MBA, and they say that business schools bear some of the responsibility for everything that I just showed you. So, I say it's time to think differently. Are you ready to think a little differently? Yes? All right. So, first, the main question I have for us is, what is valuable? Who gets to decide the core question of value? And who gets to make up the rules and the metrics and the rewards to go along with those measures? So, we need to do a little research. On one of the cards that you were given, if you're a student, I'd like you to do this for me. write down word student on one of your cards, and then write down the total student debt that you will be carrying when you graduate, whenever that is. Okay? You don't have to write your name. So it's just, student, a big number, and we'll collect them during the break. We'll total them up and reveal the number to you perhaps during the reception. But I can tell you that this was in the Tribune just yesterday. Debt bomb ticks as burden grows, $870 billion in total student debt. Is that right? That's not right. That's not right. Okay. All right. So we'll report back. So I want to talk to you about another way, an alternative way, perhaps. It's called the gift economy. And the premise is it is not based on accumulation or greed, but rather generosity and reciprocity. Generosity and reciprocity. You may know of some ethnographers and anthropologists that have studied so-called primitive cultures where they found some odd behaviors, where there were ceremonies called potlatches in which gifts were exchanged, an entire transfer of wealth in ceremonies and feasts were given away at these ceremonies, potlatches. You may have heard of examples of the gift economy, such as Linux. Who here knows Linux? Who here is a programmer? Okay, there are programmers in the house. Well, Linux was established by a young fellow named Linus Torvald in 1991. And today, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people labor all over the planet to improve this product, this thing called Linux. And I was told by the foundation there that 15 million lines of code have been written just in the last few years. GitHub is a space where people can go online and park code for distribution, sharing, and improving. GitHub. And something like 1.4 million people have contributed to this repository, this giftedness. Perhaps you've heard of crowdsourcing and crowdfunding. Well, Kickstarter is one of the most popular, and right now, something like 26,000 projects have been generating over $75 million. Now, my friends, this is not an investment. When you participate in Kickstarter, you are gifting because you are participating in the dreams of the project person. You are helping them realize their creative passion. It's your gift to them, and we all benefit. So, this concept of P2P, peer-to-peer giving, is going crazy, an idea who's gaining momentum. So, for example, community gardens. There are 18,000 community gardens in America, over 600 right here in Chicago. Food co-ops. There are 125 in 35 states, serving over 1.3 million members who are also owners of these co-ops. But much more common would be things like apps, or skins, or upgrades to programs that you can gather for free because the programmers are hoping that you will then perhaps upgrade or put money in the tip jar, the virtual tip jar. And I know if I take out my phone, I'll probably have like 20 of those things on there that I am enjoying every day. And sometimes I pay, and sometimes I don't. But sometimes I tell other people about it, and we spread the good love. Okay. So there's a growing peer-to-peer culture in America and across the world. And basically, what I want you to take away about this concept are three ideas. Basically, when you participate in a peer-to-peer exchange, you're producing valuable stuff for sharing and gifting. The community is assigning the merit of your offerings. In other words, it's not for sale. So you put something out there, and basically, if it's meritorious, it gets grabbed and improved on. If it's kind of sucky, it falls by the wayside, and it doesn't get shared. And the item, the gift, is usually done virally through networks and very amenable to technology where things can spread very rapidly and your gift can be added and layered on to other gifts. Okay, so let us create some gift economy. And one of the most important things about the gift economy is to move it forward. The gift always has to be in motion going forward. So let's create a little forward motion right now. So I would like you to take out one of your other cards and write on it something that you would like to give away today to someone in this room. What do you have that you would like to give away today to someone in this room? It could be a piece of equipment. I brought my gift, okay? It could be a service. We have software designers, we have writers, we have designers, we have scientists, we have educators. Or who knows what skills we have in this room. Would you like to give that away to someone who might need something of that nature? And of course, there's good old-fashioned cash. If you've got some extra cash that you'd like to give away, put that on the paper, write your name and a phone number or some way for us to get a hold of you. Turn those in during the break. We'll sort them and put them up outside. Now, if you're someone who is seeking something, that's the place to go and look. Don't steal the paper, just write down the name, and it will be up to the giver to decide how to disperse their gift. Are we agreed? Sounds fun? Yes? All right. So we'll create a gift economy right here in this room today, and we'll report back the results again, perhaps during the reception. We'll give you a report on your own generosity. So in closing, I'd like to bring up my man, Albert Einstein, who says this: a person first starts to live when he can live outside of himself, when he can have as much regard for his fellow man as he does for himself. I believe we are here to do good. It's the responsibility of every human being to aspire to do something worthwhile, to make this world a better place than the one that he found. Life is a gift, and if we agree to accept it, we must contribute in return. When we fail to contribute, we fail to adequately answer why we are here. So my friends, I tell you, another economy is possible. Let's make it together. Let's start today. Thank you very much.